Yeah. Good evening, guys. Good evening to everybody who has joined in for this live session today. We have a very interesting session planned today with three super fans of Indian sports who right now are in Paris covering India's journey at the Paris Olympics. So let me just go ahead and without wasting any more time, introduce the three of them to you. We have Tarek Lashkar and Vipul, who are both in Paris, like I mentioned. They are together. They are attending all the events there. And we also have Mr. Aniket Mishra, who has, I think, Aniket, me and you spoke during one of a few Twitter spaces during the Tokyo Olympics as well, if you remember. We had quite a bit of fun there discussing the progress of the Indian athletes. So welcome back to the bridge. It is always a pleasure to see you here. Yeah, guys, how's it been in Paris so far?
Thanks, Shan. Quick, minor but important correction. Super for fans of Indian sports, Indian super fans of sports. And people will explain what we mean by that. But I hand over to people to tell you how it's been so far.
No, it's been great. Paris in general is a great city for food, culture, history. It ticks all boxes, and in a lot of sporting venues, you will depend on bus for the last mile connectivity. Here, the metro is so good and so dense that it itself gets you the last mile connectivity. So getting to every venue, I don't think that's been a problem, unless and until you're going for shooting, which is in a different city altogether, or going to Lyon for football.
Or leave
Yeah.
for basketball.
So seeing the metro connectivity there, Vipul would have been feeling a little sad, no? Because he's from Bangalore.
No.
No, I'm from Bombay.
I am the one who's from Bangalore.
Oh, sorry, Tariq. Yeah. Okay,
I'm not
cool.
sad, mostly jealous.
Aniket, how's it been for you?
No, it's been great. Yeah, it's been. I mean, I work in sports, of course, so I'm not used to like witnessing events as a spectator, and I managed to create my schedule such that I managed to do that at this Olympic Games. I missed working on the Tokyo Olympics. That was the biggest regret. I've been a Olympic nut for as long as I can remember. I mean, I think the first race I saw was in 1996, Michael Johnson winning the 200 meters on TV, of course. And then I got my first job because of remembering Olympic facts. I got my most important job because of remembering Olympic trivia. So, and none of them have anything to do with quizzing or Olympics for that matter, but just that someone thought that, hey, this guy kind of understands what it takes. So Olympics was like this big dream. I'm loving it. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I went to a Olympics collectibles museum yesterday. I was amazed at the kind of things that people had collected, things that have stood the spread of time. It's just been phenomenal to walk around. I can't even, I think I'm speaking too much over here, but I can't describe how exciting this is. So, but yeah, it's amazing to me.
So we can start with that. Of course, we will of course talk about the Indian athletes in a little bit. But we can start from your experiences, your personal experiences traveling and following the Indian contingent abroad. So if all three of you could tell us how many Olympics have you guys attended, and some core memories that might have stayed on with you over the years.
Right. So much like Bhajan Kaur, this is my first Olympics. But so I have actually neither has Bipul ever been to an Olympic Games before. So this is like our first. But yes, of course, like Aniket mentioned, from growing up in the 90s, pretty much followed all the Olympics on television. So this is that way a very interesting and different experience in the sense that being on the ground and seeing everything happen around you and the level of complexity, the logistics, the sheer variety and the sheer vastness of it kind of hits home. So that probably has been the most interesting experience or the aspect of the experience so far.
Yeah.
And just seeing you have to plan your day accordingly. It doesn't happen with most sports. Firstly, when you are in India, BCCI fixes half the things for you. Here it's not going to work like that. So you have to let go of some event. So like, for example, I had taken ticket of women's hockey semifinals, and that was clashing with Mirabai Chanu's event. So then as like, okay, if we make it to the semifinals, I'll have to prioritize it. It's a very unfortunate situation to be in, but yeah, you have to take these calls and all, which doesn't happen in any other sport. You have to plan your day accordingly, travel, where you're gonna eat. Like I've not eaten anything till now for the day, so yeah, after this I'm gonna go do that. So yeah, I think that comes in, but all this is, it comes with a lot of joy. Like it doesn't get monotonous. It's not that you're following only one sport. You are in one arena on one day, you watching a completely different sport that you've never even watched in person. You don't even know any athlete. That So yesterday we went to beach volleyball. It was quite a vibe. So yeah.
Aniket, your experiences so far?
No, I've never been to an Olympics before as well, Sharon, and I think I tweeted about it also. But I've been obsessed with Olympic stadiums, like stadiums which have hosted the opening ceremony. I had been to 16 of them, and I didn't go to this one because there's no stadium, but it happened on this Seine River, and it was crazy. It was amazing. I think the rain played a little bit of a spoil sport, but when the Indian contingent kind of came on its mid-sized boat, I mean, the boat wasn't as big enough as France or USA, but was bigger than some of the smaller countries. I love Bhutan's boat, which was like which four people, which four people could have just pedaled and made it move basically. But I loved the whole experience, and it was surreal. Just to add to what Vipul said there, I feel a part of it is also not just watching live events, but how do you watch the ones that you're not watching live but still on a screen, like I remember during the Tokyo Olympic Games, I was obsessively, like all of us over here, were following the games, and I had a 6-screen setup at home, so that we don't miss anything. We can't do that on the move over here, but I have some rituals, and while we were at Roland Garros watching Alcaraz and Nadal lose their quarterfinal, Ledecky was going to swim the 1500 meters, so I had an iPad on and was watching that just as that finished. So it I think is also that also kind of adds a little bit of variety to the experience, but I can't think of watching a stream live while you are at an event of this magnitude in any other scenario.
Yeah, yeah. Keeping multiple screens on at the same time, that is something that we can relate to a lot at the bridge, because in our office right now we have some 25 people, and everybody is playing a different event on the laptop so that everybody can keep track of everything else. So yeah, that is a pretty phenomenal feeling as well. Coming back to France and this year's Olympics, so something that I observed in almost all of the matches that featured French athletes is the crazy support that the French crowd has provided them with, right? So we've seen the French crowd vociferously supporting its athletes. Rohan Bopanna and Sriram Balaji faced a French pair. There were other events where Indians have faced against French opponents. Uh, how do you look at that? How has that experience been in terms of being an outsider and looking in from an Indian lens, so to speak?
I'll go first quickly. The first experience I had was the very day I landed in the evening. I had gone to the hockey stadium, and the match was Germany France, and I think Germany took an early lead. They were absolutely dominating, and even then, I think the score was like some 5-2 or something like that in favor of Germany. And yet the French fans were screaming at the top of their voice. They were going "Allez les Bleus," like all throughout, which is pretty fantastic. I think people will tell you about something in badminton. I experienced in archery as well, where they reached the men's team finals, and it was tremendous. The entire arena was shaking in terms of them stomping the foot and like screaming at them. The Korean fans are also out there in voice, but like nothing comes close to what the French fans have been creating as an atmosphere. It's phenomenal. Like I went to the rugby sevens where they had a quarterfinal against Canada in the women's tournament, and it's at Stade de France, which is a humongous stadium, a massive capacity. And when they scored, it appeared as if the roof of the stadium would blow off. Like they were that loud. So everywhere they've been like very vociferous and loud. And I think people will tell you about badminton and how that went.
Yeah. So I think one difference that I always seen as an Indian who follows Olympic sports, and with a lot of people who watch a lot of Olympics like they're watching the sport from Olympics to Olympics. Like people go in with a lot of hype. You always take the best case scenario that we're going to win double-digit medals, etc. You don't understand. You don't even assume that someone else can also have a good day. It's not only your athlete who's going to play. So, and then if it doesn't go well, fans also behave very, very badly. You see it every day on social media. The thing with French fans is they get behind the team. Like, say, for example, even before the Olympics at the Roland Garros, Richard Gasquet played his first match against Borna Choric, and you should have just seen the atmosphere. It was absolute caps lock on atmosphere. And even I went to badminton, and Alex Popov walked in. He's not even ranked in top 20. But if you were there at La Chapelle Arena, you would have felt that it's Goran Ivanisevic who's walked in splits after winning a Wimbledon. It was something like that. So just get behind a player vociferously, make him feel like a superstar. If he doesn't win, and it's okay. And we also seeing this culture across, like in many stadiums. And also, like we went to a pub a couple of days ago, and the people who are sitting there and watching sports. So, and it doesn't have to be, say, swimming and marchands there. It can be any other thing. So I think there's a sporting culture which a lot of people are experiencing, but yeah, French are really amazing that way. They know how to turn up the volume.
Yeah, yeah. Aniket?
No, I completely echo what both Tarek and Vipul said. I've been to a few of these, like archery as well. The Popo brothers were playing doubles the day I went, the session I went to. But I kind of, I don't know how to put it. Like, obviously, if, like in some other sports, if the arena is bigger, it would feel more electric. But I've seen Leon Marchand win a gold medal. And it seemed like the roof will fall down. It seemed like, I mean, I've been to Juba Bharati with over 100,000 spectators in a Kolkata derby. I've attended matches in Eden which were pretty loud. Sachin was given run out. Yeah, so I've been to a few games, multiple FIFA matches, but I never felt something like that. I think it's also because it's uh, it's it's indoor, right? It's kind of it booms even more, the swimming arena. But Leon Marchand, I mean, the star of the Olympic Games so far, and maybe the star of the Olympic Games by the time it ends also, just brought the absolute roof down. The French went mad. Like, when I say mad, like insane. It was brilliant to see. And I don't feel bad when people say that Indians do the same in cricket at all. By the way, I say we have Indians all over the world. We should cheer Indians everywhere we can go. And hence I kind of feel that, if there is organic support, people are not being brought in paid to cheer for people. It's brilliant to see that happening for any country, not just for India or anyone, but the hosts in this case were brilliant. So
Yeah. I think
amazing.
Vipul mentioned something about the crowd cheering on somebody and making that athlete feel like a star, even if that particular athlete is not a favorite in a particular event. So right now we are going to talk about someone who was probably in that category at the start of the Olympics, but definitely not in that category anymore. We're of course talking about Manu Bhakar. Manu Bhakar, of course, 2 bronze medals already. She finished fourth earlier today. Uh, we all know what happened after Tokyo, the ramifications of her and Saurav Chaudhary underperforming in the Tokyo Olympics, and the brickbats that she had to face following that. Uh, how do you look at her achievement at this particular edition of the Olympics, especially because she's still so young? She's just 22 years old, and the pressure that she must have been under, and the way that she delivered in the first 2 finals, and even today she was fantastic. Just missed another medal by a whisker. So, what are your thoughts on Manu Bhakar's re-emergence as India's shining light in shooting? I'll let Aniket take this one first.
I mean, incredible. There's no other way of putting it. To make it to 3 shooting finals, and with due respect to Sarjot, I think she outperformed him uh, in that mixed event as well. So kind of, being the anchor in the team event, or the and kind of single-handedly ensuring we finish with a medal over there, absolutely outstanding. I've never seen something like this uh, from an individual athlete across so many days at the Olympic Games. We have had flashes of brilliance. I wouldn't count Neeraj's medal because that's one qualifying throw and then one final day. This is across 6 different days. This is in a sport of very fine margins. You see world record holders not qualifying, not just from India, but from across the world, basically. So never seen or never witnessed anything, and I'm leaving out all the noise from outside. I think the moment she managed to come back last year, she had managed to overcome her own demons. And failure can take you to places which you didn't know existed. I mean, you didn't know that there would be so many trolls who were aiming for you when she went into Tokyo. I mean, she was the darling of the country. She had been iconized. She was a Youth Olympic Games double medalist. No one was vicious with her, for lack of a better word. But people were vicious with her after Tokyo. And that takes you to places which is very difficult to overcome. But I think people who do overcome manage to come out with a much enhanced level of grit and toughness, so to say. And I think Manu really exhibited that at these Olympic Games. Incredible. I have no words to describe how good Manu Bhakar was. And to come within a shoot off of winning the third medal today was it's just, yeah, it was heartbreaking, but yes. Yeah.
Tarek and Vipul, did you attend any of the shooting matches?
No, the shooting is like some 200 miles away. So we're very much in the city. So no, we did not. Also, I think Vipul has a point about that as well, and I'll just chime in here quickly that sport like shooting and archery, which are kind of nice to watch on television, they're not as spectator friendly to watch live. Like you can watch obviously the shooter or the archer in action, but obviously to the naked eye, it's almost impossible to figure out what is
The
kind of going
scores,
on. So
especially,
you
yeah.
are relying on other cues and things like that to understand. So obviously you're participating in the atmosphere and the suspense and the excitement, but you are not as much sort of in control of watching the entire thing build up or develop as such. So that's one aspect of the shooting. And coming back to quickly the other question about Manu's own reemergence, like you said, I think Aniket's put it absolutely fantastically well. That it's just the fact that she has been there and back itself has placed her there. The talent was always there as a teen. I think 15, 16-year-old, she was already competing at a level we had not really seen many people compete at. So she was always going to be somebody who had the talent. And the fact that she has been on this journey of self-discovery where she's discovered the mental fortitude as well, and to be able to come and deliver at the highest stage like this, like Aniket said, over 6 days, multiple rounds of qualification and final, and in two events, 10 and 25 meters, which to us are just numbers, but to a shooter, these are like two entirely different sport almost. So which I think makes her achievement here even more phenomenal. And I think I would just say the best is yet to come. That's how I look at it. So, Vipul.
Just phenomenal. Like I mean, Aniket mentioned the complexity about like how when you talk about thin margins in sport, it probably doesn't get thinner than shooting. Like I think the 10-meter rifle events started in 1988, and there's only one person who's defended the gold. You see podiums change, like Olympics to Olympics, with all the same shooters in the fray. So I think that itself is quite remarkable, and also doing it like over a course of a week, which was mentioned, it's quite remarkable. So even like how you mentioned that he was at Chatrier and he was streaming something else. I can't believe you do that at Chatrier when Rafa's playing, but I think it is happening with everyone. Like you're streaming what Manu's doing, but personally, I mean, even as a fan, you have to travel for sporting events. I would rather watch, say, a tennis or a badminton or a table tennis where you can actually see point construction. And say, for example, when I'm watching shooting on screen, when I see heart rate, etc., I get a lot of sense like what's happening in archery, etc., rather than cheering what's happening. Obviously, you're cheering all the time. That's another thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move to the last couple of topics that we're going to discuss on, just a reminder to all the people who are watching this live, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We have just crossed 100K followers on YouTube. 200K is the next target. And of course, if you like our content, please visit our website, thebridge.in. Our social media handles and the supporters link is there in the description. Please go ahead and support us in whatever way you can. Coming back to the discussion, there's another thing that I wanted to discuss. Having traveled for editions of the Olympics and other sporting events that you guys have done so far, is there a tangible change in other nation's fans' perception of India and Indian athletes? Because that is something that I personally always have wondered. Because over the last 2-3 editions of the Olympics, we have kind of found ourselves in quite a different number of sports, right? Because you can cite javelin as an example. You can cite wrestling and shooting and archery, all of these sports as examples. Badminton, TT, over the last couple of years. Is there a tangible change in how people perceive India and Indian athletes now abroad?
I would probably, I'm honestly not very sure because I've mostly been like the only other multi-discipline event I've been to is the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. And obviously, this is the first Olympics that I've been to. Others have been like individual events, like maybe a tennis tournament, maybe a cricket World Cup, and things like that. So whenever you mention that you are from India, or if you're interacting with fans who are, let's say, fans from Europe or fans from the US, I, at least in like my personal experience, I haven't seen anybody jump at it saying, "Oh, so we know this about India," or let's say something that they necessarily know, because you always have to kind of tell them. So I would say maybe the needle has not moved as much in terms of, let's say, wider recognition, but that could also be because we are beyond maybe a hockey. And even in a hockey, like I think yesterday we met some fans of the beach volleyball. People had to explain India's history in hockey to them, to kind of tell them that
No, so I said hockey and he's like field hockey. I'm like, yeah, we are at the Summer Olympics, so
no, actually, yeah, one of them said ice hockey and then the other guy was like, no, land hockey. So
Land hockey is great.
so so given those, like I know we're like quoting pure anecdotes here, but I have not seen people jumping at it yet from an athletics perspective, because whenever you say India, rather than going towards like a sports reference, there's still, I mean, yesterday one of the Swiss guys we were talking to, he mentioned Kingfisher. That was the first thing that came to mind when we said India. So in short, my point being that I think the needle has not moved as much, but probably would probably see over the next 6-8 years as to what where the movement goes. Maybe we are at that inflection point now where something can happen, because while for us it might seem like there are so many other events where we're competing in finals, running other competitors close. In the larger sporting cultures, we're still sort of a fraction of those in terms of whether it's medals or finalists or finishers. So that might be the factor that it has not moved as much.
Yeah. So same continuation of the same question to Aniket. Who are you looking at to change this? Like Tariq pointed out, the needle has not quite turned to that degree yet. But who are you looking at in the next 7 days and going forward as well, who can probably make the first move towards making that shift happen? Who are we expecting medals from, basically?
Oh, that's a question
Loaded
that
question.
it's a loaded question. But I was just going to add while Tariq was speaking that I work for an international organization which is based out of Switzerland, and I get to hear a lot about Neeraj Chopra from international colleagues because he's the Swiss tourism ambassador now, no, isn't he? So that's a very welcome change. I can't remember the last time an Indian athlete was the brand ambassador of a foreign tourism brand, and for whatever reason, I'm sure it has got to do. If you go into a deeper cultural study, it has got to do with a lot of things, ranging from Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge to Neeraj Chopra winning gold and Indian tourists
Two
going to
Chopras.
Switzerland. Yeah, two Chopras, basically. Yeah, so I mean, the cultural impact can be very, far-ranging, so to say. But the fact that some people do know Neeraj Chopra is quite nice, and they do know him because of a variety of things. One, because he won a gold medal, but because now maybe we haven't done it, the three of us over here, but a bunch of Indians would go every time he competes at the Zurich Diamond League, at the meet in Turku, if he goes to the Helsinki Diamond League, across Europe basically, and you would see support for a guy which is louder than everyone else in the stadium, and that makes people sit up and take notice that here's a guy that we should know about as well. I would do that if I'm sitting in a stadium and I don't know about, say, I don't know, some sprinter who everyone is cheering for. I would like to know who that sprinter is, what the fuss is all about. So I think that would tilt the needle moving forward. And about medal hopes, I genuinely feel that irrespective, Avinav Bindra wrote a very potent thing in his book, is it doesn't matter how good you do on your great day. It's about how decent you are on your bad day. And several other like leading sports persons have said the same. And I feel that Neeraj is decent enough even on his bad day to medal, and that's how I see it. On a great day, I think he'll emulate what he did in Tokyo. Uh, and I feel that one medal in wrestling, that's my hope. Uh, one medal in boxing. And I had very genuinely felt that we would be around 6 or 7 when the Olympics had started. And I still feel, I think unless something tragically goes wrong, which can happen in sport, I think we'll be around the 6 mark, basically. That's my sense.
For the entire country's sake, we'd have to hope that tragic bit has already happened, right? Yeah.
You see, very carefully, I've left proper nouns out of this whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't want to jinx anyone. I don't want to jinx anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So no names again from Tarek and Vipul as well, but any events that you're especially looking forward to for in terms
Well,
of medals?
I mean, honestly, I'm looking, and I'll go ahead and say it at the risk of jinxing that I'm looking forward to badminton. We're going there tomorrow. Will be and obviously another sport that both me and Vipul are have very close to our hearts is hockey. So that's where we are kind of sort of hoping for something against the grain. And something spectacular to happen. So again, like Aniket, I will not like directly say things, but we will kind of keep that out there.
Okay, yeah. So 6 or 7 medals for sure. Hopefully, not jinxing it.
For sure.
First of all, I think that I think the great MS Dhoni keeps talking about process. I think in India, what happens is when the Olympics starts, people start. The first question which I always see on my Twitter timeline, and the easiest differentiator between my Indian timeline and say the Australians I follow is like they'll talk about which sports someone is competing in. Here it's like, okay, how many medals you're gonna win? Like that cannot be the start and end of everything. Like if I were to give you just a perspective that if there's someone who's just watching cricket casually, like from World Cup to World Cup, he'll come and tell you on Twitter that Sunil Gavaskar was a very overrated cricketer. All he's done is just scored 1 century against New Zealand in 4 World Cups, did not deliver in the knockouts. It doesn't work that way. Like when you have context of what an athlete is doing day in, day out. I mean, Lee Chong Wei did not win a gold medal. He did not, like, he's still, like, today I saw Intanon losing a match and I saw her competitor, like how she folded her hands and said thank you to her. Like everyone, I think, was sad when Sai Su Ying lost. Yeah. So I think the impact that an athlete can have and get more people to take up that sport can be bigger than even a medal. Like everything doesn't have to culminate into a medal. There are a lot of events which, like, there are sports like squash which are not Olympic sports. So I think we need to respect and celebrate all athletes equally.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to put it, actually, Vipul. Thank you, guys. That is, we won't be taking up any more of your time. You guys have your matches to attend, and we all respect that. A little bit jealous also at the same time. But
No, currently we have our French lunch to go to, which lasts 3 hours.
Okay, that sounds interesting as well. But thank you once again to all 3 of you for taking out time for this conversation. It was very fun talking to all of you, and hope that you can have many more memorable moments in Paris and all over the suburbs of the city as well.
Thanks, Shan. Pleasure.
Thanks.
And
Great listening to Aniket.
Yes, we're privileged to have to get to listen to Aniket also.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
guys.
much for your time.
All right. See you.